the moment. Well, as we were hearing just then from Mark, Qatar has been a key mediator between Israel and Hamas as the conflict continues in Gaza. Well, to discuss this in a little more detail, I'm joined now by former senior defence official to the state of Qatar, Nawaf Al-Thani. Thanks for joining us here on BBC News live from Doha. Let's talk about this medicines deal so far. Qatar has been a key mediator. What more do you know about the role it's played in managing to get key medicines into Gaza?
Well, thank you for having me, Regina. First of all, Qatar obviously has continued its support on the humanitarian side in addition to the negotiations in the past, and hopefully will continue in the future. At this point, Qatar has sent in just around 2,000 tons of aid, to include 61 tons that were just sent in to help the hostages and alleviate the Palestinian refugee, the Palestinian civilian casualties who are now crowded down into the Rafah area near the border. So that has been something with the French, Qatari Air Force airplanes, two of them, as your correspondent mentioned, flew in the aid and now crossed the border, obviously, from Egypt.
Where would you say mediation talks are in terms of trying, for example, to ensure that more humanitarian aid can go through to Gaza, and of course ensuring the safe release of all the hostages who are still being held, hostages who were taken by Hamas on the 7th of October?
Well, I think negotiations are vital. There is no military solution to the conflict in Gaza. There is only a political one. I think we've seen this very clearly at almost 25,000 civilian killed, and the Israelis before that on the October 7th. All of that proves that there is no military solution to this situation. Qatar has always pushed and continues, as I've seen in the reports as well from the government, continue to push for negotiation. They haven't stopped trying, but it needs partners on both sides. The Israelis have shown some readiness, hesitancy to move forward in negotiations in the past. Now with this limited cooperation on medicine and humanitarian aid, I think this is some glimmer of hope that will continue. But unfortunately, we've seen close over 170 Palestinian civilians killed in the past 24 hours. This really needs to stop. And unless the Israeli government realizes that only through negotiations can this war end, unfortunately, this will continue.
It was negotiations before that secured that temporary ceasefire, which not only saw the release of some hostages, but some much-needed humanitarian aid getting into Gaza. Of course, aid agencies tell us day in, day out, it's still not enough to deal with that humanitarian crisis. When do you see another ceasefire of any sort happening again? I mean, do you see that there could be progress being made, any breakthroughs in the next few weeks even?
Well, that depends on the Israelis, obviously. They need to show that they are interested in moving forward in negotiations. Unfortunately, the current Israeli government, driven by the new conservatives, have shown no interest, even in the media, even a signal that they're interested in negotiations, let alone laying down the terms. Now, on the other side, obviously, the Americans, the other partner of Qatar in the negotiations, have signaled that there may be a breakthrough in the coming weeks, but we've yet to see that, obviously. The hope remains. The Qataris have made very clear, including the Prime Minister in Davos saying yesterday that we're pushing forward for a peaceful resolution and not giving up on negotiation and a negotiated settlement. But it really needs the Israelis to reach that conclusion and realization that only through negotiations and not through military operation will this be resolved. Otherwise, this will continue, and as we've seen, will also continue to widen beyond Gaza.
OK, Nawaf Al-Thani, former senior defence official to the state of Qatar, joining us from Doha. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts on that ongoing conflict.